Hello and welcome back to the channel. We're going to talk about the smoky season. It is March now, which puts us right into the month that has the worst smoke of the entire year. So first, I'm going to show you a before and after, kind of let you know what the smoke is like today. We're going to talk about where the smoke comes from. We're going to look at the fire maps. We're going to look at the wind maps. We're going to talk about what we do, my wife and I, during this time of year to combat the smoky season. So first, let's take a look at what the mountain that I use as a gauge, which is right behind me, what that looks like when it's not the smoky season. So this is what it looks like when it's not the smoky season. And here is what it looks like right now in March. So you can see the mountain, which is great because last year when I did a video like this, I couldn't even see that mountain. It was invisible. So this year's actually a little bit better than it was last year, but last year was one of the worst years for the smoke. So this is definitely an improvement, believe it or not. Now, the smoky season usually starts hot and heavy about the end of February, March and April being the worst months. Now, sometimes it can start as early as January, but it won't be that bad. When you get into March, usually the worst time of the year for the smoke. In April, if usually halfway, it starts to taper off. And if it's bad like it was last year, it's going to last the whole month of April. And this affects all the way in the north, all the way down to Bangkok. We're going to take a look at some maps here in just a moment. So one question people always ask me is, why is it smoky? Well, there's a lot of different reasons. There's obviously fires going on, and a lot of the farmers are burning the ground for different reasons. One of them's the undergrowth, one of them's the old crops, and so on. So they use this dry season that we're in right now as the time to burn all of the fields to make room for the new crops during the next season. So smoke is going on everywhere because of it. Now in Thailand this year, they came up with a new law. You're required to have a permit to burn fires, and they're trying to spread it out instead of it being mostly all in 1 month. So as you can see behind me, we can see a little bit of the mountains, so it is helping a little bit. But here's what the air quality looks like today. So you could see that the air quality is still bad. And why is that? Well, no matter what Thailand does, if you look at what's going on in the neighboring countries around Thailand, you will see that if there were no fires in Thailand, we would still have a smoke problem because of all the burning going on in Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, and so on. So let's take a look at the maps. So first, we're going to take a look at the NASA fire maps, and we're going to look all the way up north where I'm at right now, since I just showed you what Chiang Mai, Thailand looks like right now. So as you can see, there are sporadic fires all over the place. And that is a big contribution to the air quality, as you can imagine. But what I want you to also look at is look at the neighboring countries. There are more fires coming from the neighboring countries than there are from around northern Thailand. So like I said before, if all of Thailand were to quit all their fires, put them all out, you would still have issues with all the smoke blowing around from all of the neighboring countries. Now next, let's take a look down in the Bangkok area. Bangkok seems to have it pretty bad, which you wouldn't think that because it's so close to the ocean, and you figure the ocean breeze would blow all that away. But on the contrary, it's really bad in Bangkok, again, because of all of the fires going on sporadically in Thailand, including and most of it coming from the neighboring countries this year. So even in Bangkok, you're not free from it. So where do you go? Well, if we look down even further south, down in the thin strip that is still Thailand, you can see that it does get a little bit better there because you have the airflow of the ocean going from one side to another. Now that doesn't mean that it isn't smoky there. It means it's a lot less smoky there. So you won't get totally out of it. If I was going to suggest a place for you to go in Thailand where you could get away from the smoke, that would be the islands. So if you are going to live here in Thailand and you want to stay away from the smoky season, one suggestion might be to pick this time of year as a time to visit your family, or you could use this time to go down to the islands and enjoy living in Thailand on one of the islands during the smoky season. Another thing we can do is, well, let's look at the quality of the air on the air quality maps. I'm going to have a link to all these websites, well, actually the two that we're looking at, down in the description if you want to look for yourself at any given time. And as you can see, we'll look at northern Thailand. It's still bad. You can see there's not much wind blowing around. You could tell if you look real carefully, you could see the little air symbols floating through the sky. There's really not much going on. But when we look at the Bangkok area, we see it still doesn't look good. A little bit more air down there. And if we look all the way down south, you can see where the air from the ocean blowing over is a lot more, making it just a little bit more bearable. Now we're going to take a look and see where Thailand is ranking on the world's worst air. So you can see, unfortunately, we are still on the list, even though we're not number one. So Bangkok and Chiang Mai seem to always make this list during the smoky season. And a lot of you wondered and asked us, what do we do during the smoky season? Well, first of all, in our home, we have an air purifier. We have an expensive one that has electronics on there to tell us what the air quality is at our house at any given time. We also have 3 other air purifiers. They're not as expensive. They work great. They just don't have the electronics on it. And with all those on there in our house, the air quality is really good. Now, you would think that a lot of the businesses here in Thailand would also follow suit and do air purifiers, which a lot of them do. But the problem is we had a PM 2.5 meter that we bought, and we brought it to places like the mall, like to restaurants. And the doors just open and close too much for the air purifiers to keep up. The PM 2.5, even in public places, is going to be too high. So unfortunately, that isn't a great place to go. As a matter of fact, I would say the only place you're going to get out of this is probably your own home, where you can control the air purification. If you are going to be outside, you could always use the PM 2.5 mask, which is probably what I should be wearing right now. However, I'm doing this video and I'm not going to talk through a mask in it. But anyway, it is bearable to get through this. And if you're asking, well, what are the symptoms of being here? It's going to vary person to person. Mine, my eyes start burning and itching. It feels like there's rocks in them. I know a lot of people, they have drainage in their throat or a sore throat. People with asthma really have it bad. Just know these are some of the things that you're going to have to deal with if you want to move to Thailand. Well, anyway, I hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching. If you feel so inclined, buy us a coffee. We'd really appreciate it. If you like the video and the information, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. We'd really appreciate that as well. And until next time, I'm going to end this by saying thank you in Thai, which is Khap Kun Khap.